Okay. So,
Hi, it's Colin from WineSense. We're here at the Paddock Wood Brewing in Saskatoon. I'm here with Steve Meyer. Steve's going to show us around the brewery.
Well, welcome to Paddock Wood. This is the green room. It's not the most beautiful of places, but it's where it all starts. That's our mill over there. Our brewers come up here at the beginning of the day and they measure out the grains. As you can see, we have about 15, 20 different kinds of grains. We make up our recipe and mill it in there. And it gets augured out to our mash tun. So step 2 here, that white pipe, and you can see how it leads all the way down to that middle silver tank. So that is our mash tun. The grain gets put in there, and a very specific temperature of water is put in there with it. It sits for about an hour, and at that point, the starch that's in the grain is being converted into the maltose that we later need for the yeast to eat to make alcohol. Leave it in there for about an hour, and there's a false bottom. So what that does is it allows us to pull all the liquid out, leave all the grain behind, and transfer it into the next tank, the one with the big pipe coming out the top there. And that is technically our boil kettle. And if you want to go, we can take a closer look. So once we pull the liquid out of our mash tun here, we've got all the fermentable sugar that we need to be able to make alcohol, but we haven't added any hops yet. Hops is very important in beer. If you don't add hops, you don't have any bitterness and you're losing a lot of aroma and flavor. And so that's what this next unit is for. We boil our sugary liquid in there and we add the hops throughout an hour or an hour and a half long process. And depending on what hops and how long you put them in for, they add different kinds of bitterness and flavor. And again, we use about 15 different varieties of hops combination in our beers. Besides these 3 tanks right here, every other tank in here is a fermenter. We have 13 of them ranging from 1,200 liters to 3,600 liters. We started with 4. In our first year of production, we made 30,000 liters of beer. That's what we did last month. So we've bumped up quite a bit.
wow.
Yeah, and fermentation takes anywhere from 7 days to like 2 months if it's a lager. Yeah, from there, once it's done fermenting, it gets filtered through this little machine here. Most of it gets filtered. We are starting to move to some unfiltered beers. People are starting to understand that a cloudy beer doesn't necessarily mean anything's wrong with it. In fact, people are starting to understand now that yeast actually adds a lot of flavor. And when you filter, it takes proteins and yeast out that actually make a delicious beer. And when you're doing the homebrew kits, you don't filter that out, so you do get actually a really full flavored beer the way it's used to be.
So at what point do the kits that the customers are going to make at home, where do they come into this process?
Good question. So after we boiled here, we add our hops. So now we have our bitterness, we have the sugary liquid. What we do at that point when we're making beers, we cool it down through a cooling unit and put it into a fermenter. If we're going to make the kits, we just pump that same liquid directly into the kits. You get to take it home, add yeast, and put it in your vessel, and it's ready to go. So we make it exactly the same way. Our kits are made the same way that our beer is made.